There have been two main improvements to the high-quality viewport for the release of Softimage 2014. First is the upgrade of the ambient occlusion settings, and second is the ability for transparency maps, whether you're working with shaders or texture maps, to more accurately reproduce shadows in the way that they're cast. I've got a display options property page for my camera on the side here, and I've just got the enable ambient occlusion turned on, and I also have shadow transparency turned on as well. The new feature here is the shadow transparency alpha tolerance that allows you to blend in the effects of the shadow. First of all, let's take a look at the ambient occlusion settings. I'm going to increase the intensity of the occlusion. So let's bring that up a little bit. Let's bring it up a little bit more to a value of 5. Okay, there we go. So I've got this ambient occlusion effect, but you can see it's a little bit chunky around the side of the fuselage here. It's also a little bit too dark in the little Gatling gun region as well. I want to tone that back a little bit. So the first thing I would usually want to do here is to increase the number of iterations, which will basically give a more tapered effect to the occlusion. So I'll increase the iterations. So again, you can see I get a much tighter looking effect here. And then I'd follow that up. I just zoom in, just do a rectangular zoom, truck in here, by biasing the ambient occlusion. So as I raise the bias, it's blending in more towards the texture side. As I lower the bias, it's giving me more of the occlusion effect on the body of the chopper. So that, maybe I'll increase the intensity a touch more. There we go. So one of the other features when you're working with the ambient occlusion is dealing with the ability to blur the occlusion, which just gives you another level of polish on top of what's already quite polished. The blur blend here in this case will give us more of a nice resolved effect here around the Gatling gun. So as I bring that value up, again, it's a subtle effect, but you can see how it has an impact on that region. It just kind of tightens up the effect a little bit in there. And I'll also have to increase the blur samples a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit less chattery now. And now you can start to see how that blur blend has definitely more of an impact. I'm just going to darken these openings a little bit more just by increasing that blur blend. Okay, so those are the ambient occlusion updates that have been made for 2014. The other area where there have been improvements made is in the transparency, and for that I'm going to take a look at the cockpit. So what you'll notice here is that these windows are transparent, and as you can see, we've got shadows being cast from the windows, or the outside of the windows, or the frame of the window, into the ship, and as well from the compass and the navigation systems. Again, all I need to do here is just look at dealing with the shadow transparency tolerance. So you can see as I raise the tolerance, darkening, we're getting a darkening of the effect, and as I drop that down, we're basically allowing for no shadows to be cast at all. There we go. So we can see the shadows showing up in there. So those are the two main improvements for dealing with the high-quality viewport for Softimage 2014. We have the improvements to the shadows and the way that they're cast with regards to transparency, as well as the subtle changes to the ambient occlusion.